I want to do more narrative things now. And I think part of it has to do with my age, being 60. I mean, and wanting to leave this notion of the story that I want to tell. And that simple 3 different part story is part of how I felt. And I know many human beings have felt the same way.
It brings up the legacy.
Yeah.
So what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, the last couple of commissions that I've done really speak well to part of what I wanted to try to create. One is actually, both of them are for UAMS, the University of Arkansas Medical Schools, and they both portray this notion of hope in different ways. They're very different narratives. The first piece is a large seed-like pod. It's probably about 4 foot in length and a couple feet in diameter. And it's not a specific seed. It's based on an abstraction of seed form, so I wanted to kind of find something. So I've got a pile of books on different periods from the 60s and 80s and within the last couple of years about seeds. I've always been fascinated by them, and it's been an off and on interest in that, and part of that grew out of taking my children for long walks in the woods. And so this notion of a seed as a form is something that everyone can relate to. But there's also the term, if you plant a seed, you believe in the future. And what's interesting is that was kind of the turning point, remembering that phrase from a conversation I had with a friend who's a gardener. And what's the irony of the situation was I didn't know it was based on a biblical phrase. But the idea behind the seed of hope is it's a seed-shaped vessel, and there's a small token form. It's probably about that big. It's in a seed shape, or leaf shape. It has an image on it of the vessel. So when a cancer patient is cancer-free, they place one of these seeds of hope into the vessel as a ritual. As many staff as possible can come down to that ritual. They film it, they put it on the web, on the new website for that. So it's a positive image and it's a ritual that connects with people. So as they place that seed of hope in the vessel, all the other patients who are been diagnosed or who are suffering or have cancer or see that there's 40 patients in the last year that are not cancer-free. It's a positive thing. And I think part of what I'd like to try to live and through my work is something positive, something that I can leave that makes a difference in people's lives. And so these little seeds, both metaphorically and visually, can be kept as a memento, but also can be passed on to a friend and then help them come to healing. Because one of the biggest challenges the 2 hardest days, or it's just the most challenging days in cancer, is being told you have it and then being told you're cancer-free. So those are the 2 most significant days. I've had minor issues with cancer myself. My father passed away from it. But I've had a number of friends also. And so it can't not affect you. So I work with the hospital to help develop a notion of, they wanted a ritual, they wanted something that people could be involved in, something positive, something they could leave to other people to give. So it took probably a few months to kind of come up with the concept. So a lot of drawings, a lot of writing, a lot of research, and then started doing 3-dimensional models from that, and then they picked one, and then I scaled it up to a large scale.
You just finished a new one, right?
And I just actually installed a piece last night. It's called Transformation, and it's again a similar notion, but it's based on a person giving themselves to God, saying, "I'm turning it over to you." And I've had this happen in my own life many times, and I've known other people that have had that happen too. And I think it's not a giving up, it's an acceptance of that you're not in complete control. but also that you have a faith that the end result will be good, no matter where it goes. And I think that's a hard thing to come to terms with, but it's still important. So I wanted to portray that notion of both that, not despair, but that hope and that faith in a physical gesture and then in an environment. So it's all coming together. So she's in a gesture of praise. She's standing on a rocky outcropping. She's in a kind of summer peasant dress, I would call it. Something simple, not pretentious, and like a rocky outcropping you might find up on Pinnacle or Pettigene. And the butterflies are supposed to represent transformation. And that's part of the image that they've embraced as a patient overcoming and working with the physicians and the staff to overcome their cancer.